Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Thank you all for joining us today for the news conference. We apologize for starting a little bit late. We're just leaving a meeting where we got some updates on Thalia Mara. We wanted to make sure that you guys had the most up-to-date information. So the mayor has a few remarks that he's going to make. Just to caution you all, he is a little bit under the weather, so we're going to keep this news conference as brief as possible and keep your questions as succinct as possible. With that, I will turn it over to the mayor.
Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us. I am getting better, but I have been under the weather, but it's always good to see you and provide updates. To the point of having been sick, we have a huge uptick in the flu, and so shots are available for our city employees at the city clinic, which is located at 633 North State Street. Our Human Resources Department has seen a large increase in individuals who have contracted the flu. So we want to encourage city employees to get the flu shot. Please take precautions and not get anyone sick. Cover your mouth, as you saw that I was doing. And so we want to encourage people who are in the workforce all across the city, whether you work for the city or not, because we're seeing such a sharp increase in the flu. We want to encourage you to get the flu shot wherever you can. But as a reminder to our city employees, that is available at 633 North State Street. I saw some of you earlier this morning, some of the media. We had a wonderful time with Jackson Public Schools. All of our high schools were represented at the Jackson Zoo this morning, where we launched an inaugural Adopt an Animal program, where each high school is adopting animals within the zoo. Some, for instance, one of the schools got the Asiatic black bear. One of the schools got the cougar. I think Callaway got the cougar, if I'm not mistaken. Appropriately, Provine got the rhino, right? I guess that's as close to the ram as we could get, right? And so down the line, each one of these schools are going to be learning things about these animals, helping to provide for their care, which in turn helps create a new generation of a workforce that we need as zookeepers. There may be young people who ultimately want to become veterinary doctors, and so we were truly excited about this. It's also reintroducing the relationship in a much more profound way between JPS and the zoo. Many of us who grew up in Jackson knew that each and every year we went to the zoo, right? Each and every year, not only did we go, we had a familiar experience at the zoo, and we want that to happen. If we're talking about investment in our zoo, if we're talking about its next direction, then we have to start right here at home. And so I want to thank the superintendent. I want to thank the assistant superintendent of high schools and all of those individuals working at the zoo who helped make that event a success. I talked in our prior, our last press conference about the March of Mayors. Again, it is that time again where we are collecting items for individuals in our community who can use that support, who can use that extra aid. And our item is peanut butter. You can drop off at Corner Market, which is on Northside Drive. Any corner market, excuse me. You can drop off at any corner market or any of our fire stations. So again, if you have an opportunity while you're doing your grocery shopping and you just happen to get another jar of peanut butter, we ask that you bring that forward so that we can provide that to our residents that are in need. As Melissa stated, there was just a meeting moments ago where there were updates on Thalia Mara Hall. We know that a report had been released with some deficiencies. What you may not have picked up on is actually the report that was released. By far, the grand majority of those items were items that were cited back in September. So he merely just released the old document. And it was noted that or I should note that those deficiencies, that nearly all of those deficiencies have been repaired and serviced. There was no notation in this most recent release that spoke to any of those things. But we actually did repair. We had our fire department, our fire marshal, through much of that process working with the contractors. And so right now we're, the most recent report, some of the things that were noted, we are gathering the maintenance and service reports for the elevator and the escalator, who, might I note, are both working at this moment in time. We merely just have to get the maintenance service and the service and maintenance reports for those things. We're also setting up a time for our fire system to be tested by the company that services it. They were not there at the time that the fire marshal was there, and so we need to set up a time where the system can be tested and invite the state fire marshal to come back out. Once those things are corrected, our city fire inspector is going to go over to the building and invite the state fire marshal to re-inspect at that moment in time. Was there anything that I left out, Mike, that you wanted to add in that process? No. Okay.
Thank you. I don't think there's anything you left out. I just want to stress that we were never closed by the state fire marshal's office, and that everything that we have found, everything that we have sought to remediate and fix has been self-identified. It's been through a very robust effort, through a lot of partnerships, and I think everybody's done a really good job so far. I'd just like to reiterate that to the public. I know sometimes things get lost in translation and through communication snafus, but by and large, the project has been going really well, and we're proud of the progress that we made.
Thank you very much. As we have also stated, that Thalia Mara is an old building, and so there's a need as the building ages to take care of more and more things. And that's not a problem. These are things that we foresaw. That is why we asked for state appropriations, and that's why we received them. Sometimes the deterioration of the building or the age of the building is a little faster than the plans that we humans make for repairs. And so, something that we'll be doing throughout the month of February, since we're talking about these repairs, and one of the repairs that were needed to be made and was made leads to our Black History Fact of the week, and that is that Alexander Miles invented the system to open and close elevator doors in 1887, and the design that he created is still used for the modern elevators that we use each and every day. All right? So your Black History Fact of the day, that Alexander Miles invented the system for opening and closing elevator doors, and we're grateful for him. And it was his genius that allowed us to fix the elevators we got now. All right? With that, I'll open it for any questions that you may have. Yes?
You signed a letter with a few other mayors about the inmate housing fees at the Hinds County Detention Center. Can you just speak a little bit about why you chose to join along?
Let me say this, and a portion of the response to that question belongs to the city attorney, and we have research that he's uncovered, which we absolutely feel will be controlling in this circumstance, right? But we feel that the need of our county did not incorporate or, adequately discuss, the budgets and the challenges that we have. And so many of those mayors, having considered this issue independently, called for a meeting where we talked about our concerns, things that may not have been considered in their evaluation of price. One would be when an inmate is initially arrested versus when they are bound over by the county. Whether there is proper calculation for, once it is bound over by the county, it is no longer an inmate of any city, it is a county's inmate. And when we get sufficient notice of that. Things like when the city of Jackson, what are we going to be held responsible for? While somebody may be a resident of Jackson, They may have actually been arrested by Hinds County themselves, or they may have been arrested by Jackson State's police department, for instance. Would we, based on their calculations, be held responsible for that? So that is why it was important for us to sit down. But I will say that the research of the city attorney's office kind of supersedes even those questions and concerns as it relates to the city of Jackson. And I do believe that that will be controlling. So that's all I would say to that at this moment in time.
So is this going to be a legal fight?
I don't want to allege any, I don't want to claim that. That it's too early to tell. I can say that there was, when you look at an issue like this, you have to dive deep into history and what the relationships have been. And there was some question as to whether a formal agreement had been reached with the city of Jackson and the county in the past. And once we discovered what it actually was, I believe that that will in fact be controlling. Yes, ma'am.
So Valimara failed the fire marshal's inspection. What's next? What is on the list of improvements, and what is the city's timeline for reopening?
Yeah, so those are the things that I was talking about. First, the notion that it failed, right, is a highly exaggerated one, right? And I will note again, the report that the media got, those were the September items that the fire marshal, to our knowledge, didn't even go to inspect again, right, that were all repaired. So this notion that there was a failure, one is the maintenance and service reports of the elevators that were repaired, that are operable, that are working, and they maybe just didn't see the documents that showed when they were maintained and serviced, right? So that's one, just the papers. The other thing is that there was not an opportunity to test the fire system, right? And that's because the company that services it was not there and available at the time of the inspection. So we're going to invite that company out so they can in fact test the system, and the fire marshal will have the benefit of seeing that test. So that isn't a failure of the inspection. That was somebody who was not available at that moment in time. And once those things are corrected, our fire marshal, the city's fire marshal, again, is going to go through the system or go through the building, look at everything, and invite the fire marshal back out. So those were the things. The inability to test a fire suppression system because the company wasn't there, right? And paperwork. Those were the things that are noted when you really review. And that is the paperwork on the elevators and escalators, which are working. All of those things have been repaired. And then you had a litany of things that were put out to the media that if you just look on it, you'll see the dates, right? The dates actually refer to September, right? Which in addition were also repaired. And as Mr. Williams said, we even repaired things that were not even noted by the fire department, by the state fire marshal, because we wanted to go through and make sure that we double-checked everything. So that should be very quick, however long it takes for papers to be identified and provided, and two, for the company to schedule a time that they can come out and test the fire suppression system.
Another question that I had, the proposed hotel development downtown, are the developments there? Is the hotel interested, and what is the timeline on that?
Which, are we talking about, what are we talking about precisely?
The one that I believe is the convention center.
Yeah.
Convention complex is not ready yet.
No, there are no comments on that. I think our last discussion was talking about how we use the space for a communal space for events and a number of other things. That's what our planning director gave a presentation on maybe 2 to 3 weeks ago. That's the only thing that I can update about that.
And one final thing that I have, campaign finance reports, have they been filed?
Everything's been filed. Everything was filed on time. All right.
Who are you rooting for in the Super Bowl?
Because my Detroit Lions are out, I've turned to soccer, which is really the original football, and it makes more sense that we refer to it as football. No, I'm rooting for a good game. Charlie, I'm not against you. I think it would be interesting for Patrick Mahomes to be the first quarterback to win 3 in a row. We've had some other conversations. Some people feel that the Kansas City Chiefs get awfully favorable treatment by the referees. So I want a sound, good game. It's something that is a part of our traditions that we enjoy football, or American football. But I just looking for a good game. All right. Thank you all very much, and thank you for joining us.